Hey y'all, back out in the garage messing around with a few different things. Here we'll start with the wheels over here. The aluminum welding rod stuff that I was mentioning, it didn't work out. This stuff is aluma weld rods. It says right on it, it's got to be 730 degrees, the surface, for you to be able to do this here, and rub, and it to melt. It's got to be like a solder, like a soldering gun, right? The solder will melt on the tip of a soldering gun real quick, but if you don't get the wire hot enough, it won't stick. Same thing. So what I did is I got them on a hub. These smaller dish half, it was really had run out really bad, really bad. I mean, right now it moves a little bit, but it's not bad. And it's going to be backup wheels for this cart because I ended up going ahead and buying 2 more wheels for the rear. We're just going to use the new ones on the front, and these will be spares. But I'm going to have, with it bolted together real tight. I'll send it to work with Richard, and he can weld them up on here. And if they stay cool, and if they don't, well, it doesn't matter. They were scrap anyway. What I had to do to get the run out of that one half, I got to do the other set here, is we had to open up, bolt it together, and rotate it in different orientations on the hub until we found the best possible bed out of roundness, right? I mean, the best possible setup. And then we take a marker on here, right, and you clamp this thing on here and you spin it, and what it'll do is it'll leave a mark on the high spot, right? So real low tech redneck way of doing things, but it works, and it tells you where the high side is, right? And you know that you've got to move it down that way. So let's say this was where the filler hole is for the valve stem, right? Where that hole is, say that was the high spot. It was real, literally, I'll exaggerate, it was like this. You see what we'd have to do? We'd have to take stuff off on the opposite side of the main hole here, the one that locates it, and the studs as well. If it was real bad, I mean, there's only so much you can do. As you can see, we had to file or sand these centerpieces just to get them to go on here to begin with, right? So what we got going here is, I can't show you this because it doesn't have any studs, but I'll guarantee you this half, I've checked them both on that one hub as we were putting these things together, and the run out, and it's pretty bad. So yeah, what we did is we just sanded away on that hole. I mean, you can't see that it looks a lot sloppier, but I mean, if you turn this thing here, you can see some of that is magic marker on there. It's not all gap, but you can actually see that gap move a little bit. And although it does move up and down a little, it isn't nearly as bad as it was. And like I said, this go-kart, I'm not even going to balance the tires on this thing. The old school Van K wheels that were on this thing, the 2-piece wheels, with these tires here, these were new tires that Tom put on the cart when he put it up for sale. These wheels are junk because you look at the stud holes, they're jumbo size. These things, I mean, literally, if you turn them like this and you let it go, and they rolled, there was a big heavy side to them right on the cart, without even putting them on a balancer with the little micro bearings that really exaggerate everything. And so you knew right away that they were out of whack, out of balance. And I ran this thing. I didn't notice any vibration to the go-kart, so I'm not even going to bother. I'm not going to bother worrying about a little run out or a little out of balance issue with this thing. It does, as far as I'm concerned, it just doesn't go fast enough to bother. If this thing will do 90, I'd be surprised, really. But that's where we're at. We got the 5-inch wides we were going to put on the back, with these being 4 1/4 for the front. Instead, we're going to go with 5s on the front still with the 460 tire, and 5.5 on the back with a 5.5 wide tire. They'll be a little beefy. They'll be a little big and give us, give us a little bit more circumference as well, all the way around. So good to go. We're done there. We threw the blown up motor back on the mount just to sit it here because we're also working on the tank extension. As you can see, this is the right side tank. This is the left side. The one that goes right in front of the engine is shorter, right? Obviously, so you can start the engine and get to it and work on it. You see those little tabs that are welded on there are there to add a skirt or an addition, a false. So what we did is we laid the big tank down and made a template on some cardboard, and then went ahead and put the short tank on top of the template, lined it all up in the front, and just marked where it wasn't, basically, on the back. Stuck this first underneath and got the outside dimension here, and then moved it over to here, trimmed it up, got it close. And as you see here, after we cut it out and put it on and we taped it on, just wanted to make sure that the overall length was the same, and it is. So we'll go ahead and lay this out on some aluminum. I don't know if I'm going to use this because this is good heavy aluminum. I'd have to measure to tell you. It's from the trailer. I wanted to use this heavier stuff for my new, because it's thicker than this stuff here, for my new bottom tray. I obviously don't want my rear end going through that thing, you know. So we'll have to go over there and see what we've got for scrap, and maybe we'll just use a different piece because this is a nice long piece. I mean, I'd like to maybe even make me a gas tank for the F-125 and get rid of those plastic gas tanks or something. I don't know. Who knows? Getting ahead of ourselves now, aren't we? But we'll take the template here and we'll transfer it onto some aluminum. You see the brake we've got in it on the top. We're going to try to roll that as best we can to match the roll of the fuel tank. What we'll do is when we clamp it down, probably in here, maybe on something here, as I've showed you before, we used the clamps. We'll put something around here. We won't use a file, but we'll use some round stock. You know, around or near the size that we want to use. We've got all kinds of different pieces, different diameters. That would probably work right there. And we'll just clamp it down or clamp it in the vise and just bend it right around because this stuff is soft. It'll bend real easy. So we'll just put a brake in it that way. And we're going to also leave extra and do it on the bottom too. We want this, instead of being an L, we want it to be a U-shaped piece because we've really only got these 3 places to connect it, right? We could weld another one of these on down on the bottom if we really, really wanted to. But you see, if we just had the L-shaped piece, it's gonna flutter. We really want to bend it, even if we don't attach it to anything down here. We want it to have a bottom, an outside, and a top, and it'll just give it more stability. I think a lot of times the reason you don't see those on older carts is that years after they vibrate, it's aluminum, they crack and they break, and you lose them out on the racetrack. So rubber mounting that thing is not a real smart idea because you can't tighten the bolt down tight. The rubber will always have, you know, some give, which again, vibration, you think putting rubber in there is the way to go when it's really not. I mean, you'd almost want to use a little plastic disc or something instead of rubber, because just like the same thing with the fiberglass. You don't never want to put rubber between a piece of bodywork mount and the bodywork itself, because when you tighten it down, whether it's with a fastener or a Zeus, you're gonna break the fiberglass. You're gonna fracture and crack it because the rubber is gonna give. You want all that stuff tight, and we use that stuff. I don't know if I've got any of it laying around here or not. Here it is. Some of this stuff here. It's the stuff we got. Richard got it from old place he used to work at. It's got the 3M adhesive on the back. It's actually bed liner, sprayed on bed liner. They spray it on a big flat sheet, I guess, and they made big sheets of this material, and it's super tough. You stick it on, and super sticky. Once you stick it on, it doesn't come off. And we use that for anywhere metal is going to ground out or grind against itself. Perfect for this area here. So in the back, and because the surface of these tabs are probably down below the surface of the tank a little more than the thickness of the material we're going to use. It'd be perfect to put a little piece of that bed liner, sticky bed liner stuff on the back side of our extension, and do two things: eliminate a little vibration and keep anything from grinding and rubbing. And you know, it's still a fuel tank, and on the rub holes and everything. So that's what we're playing with today. Just messing around. We ordered the wheels; they won't be here till tomorrow. We'll get those boxed up with Jim Anthony. Hey, Jimmy, he sent me the his little sample of what his powder coat company. This is powder coated wheel half. Said was the Repsol orange, and it's I took it over and matched it up with the bike. It's really, really close. And look how close it is to the bottle too. That's all, you know, that's real close. What I found with the bike is this wheel is just a little bit darker, but not. I mean, if you had to do like the wheels on the bike and not put the wheels like right next to the fuel tank or something, which would pass easily. The issue I have though is if you look, I actually like that orange on the lathe a little better. I'm not crazy about the Repsol orange that they put on the bike. It's got that crazy pastel look to it. So we're not going with this color. He sent this to me just so I get an idea, and that is the closest of all the swatches I even got to matching something on the bike. But don't want to go that direction. We're going to go with basically that Indie orange, which is like a lollipop orange, and they're going to be sweet. So that's it for now. Playing around. When we get those wheels tomorrow, we'll get them all boxed up with Jimmy's piece and ship them off to Pittsburgh to Jim, and he'll do his thing on the wheels for us. No great big rush. We'll get this gas tank extension thing done. Why do we got to do that? Well, we want to get that thing done because we're going to paint these tanks. They're going to need a little bit of body working. I noticed some. So where this thing here not only got beat up a bit, but it looks like somebody had to do a little welding on it here. So it's dented in a little bit there, so it's going to need a little filling. So a little filler there. We're going to fill these grind marks in here. I don't know what he did, if he traveled down the highway with his cart stand laying on his cart or something. But we'll fix all that up because we're going to prime and paint, right? So this tank here is just basically so we don't have to, it's a great big Nerf bar. It's not going to hold anything unless we need weight, then we'll put some water in it. But no gas. This would be more than enough gas for us to run 45-minute races. No issue with that little tiny carburetor. So that's it. Playing around. Next, after we get past this aluminum stuff and get the wheels sent out of here, get that other wheel hooked up for Richie and get it off to him to get the welding, I'll go ahead and whack that nut bar off. I'll inch it over. I'll climb up into the cart, and I'll get myself where I'm comfortable, mark it. We'll get that welded on. And then at that point, I can go ahead and start tearing it all down. We're going to do some metal finishing, fixing up some of the spots. Obviously, we got it where the sissy bar was on here. We got to grind those and metal finish here. And I'd like to take that little kick out of this tube here. So it's just a matter of maybe warming it up a little bit, stick something in here and on that side and just push it on over. It'll move pretty easy. So want to get all that squared away. There was a lot of work done up in here where, you know, we welded up here. It was cracked. And this side was obviously cracked too. I believe this stuff was broken because this guy was cranking on these things, trying to move it around to make himself comfortable. Now we've got a whole nother seat like this right underneath here for that Emic, that 2005 Emic chassis we got that we're going to make our F-125 out of. Bobby's parts. And hang on, folks. There it is right there. Like Jim Farr cut it right out of that cart. But the whole thing's there. Both side rails, the back rails there. If we need to use anything or rebuild anything, we can absolutely use that stuff there because, again, that zip cart was an Emic copy, right? So, good to go. We're not even halfway through November here, and real close, but got plenty of time. Just plugging away at her. Thinking about calling the guys at the racetrack and see if we can take the hot rod out, swap the gauge for one of our other gauges, and just put it in the truck and run out there and see if they'll let me cut, 5-10 laps just to see if that's the problem. We get a 48, 50 degree day, which we're having, sunny days and not too cold. Yeah, well, all we need is a few laps, maybe they'll, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe they'll let me do it, maybe they won't, but I'll bring you some of that too. Plugging away. God bless y'all, hang in there. Keep praying, and something's bound to happen. Godspeed. Love y'all.